Mr. Pryor, hello, how are you today?
Not too bad, seeing the way things are.
Brexit day two, eh? How's it going?
Indeed. I like to call it Independence Day.
Any food shortages around your end?
Um, Generally on goods, DIY shops, and some food outlets. Yeah, they're finding shortages.
And are people rioting in the streets?
Not in Nottingham, but they do seem to be quite happy to go out though. At the same
And
time,
spread their germs about?
well, it seems that way. A lot of people that don't seem to be caring too much get too close.
Okay, so this is our first video. To explain to our viewers what we're going to be talking about?
Well, today we're going to be talking about the economy and how it's affecting jobs in light of COVID. And of course, there is still the people that will be talking about Brexit, but they've been talking about this for 4 years that there was going to be a catastrophic event or cataclysm um, that would befall us for leaving the EU. And 4 years later, 5 years later, nothing has happened. The only thing that's really affecting us right now is the pandemic and the fact that shops are closing. Um,
Totally. In the high street, people losing their jobs.
yes, and the problem is that in cities like ours, Nottingham, they're highly reliant on the services industry, so hospitality and retail, um, which is partly, I believe, came about as a result of the last crash. That's the way the situation was dealt with here. But couldn't foresee this situation, and now people are facing the consequences of the fact that we have these restrictions.
Isn't it 45 to 50%, or is it more than that of people who in Nottingham employed in the retail and hospitality sector?
I would say that it's more than that. I couldn't give you a
Crikey.
figure. I mean,
Talk about all the eggs in one basket. They
Nottingham
need
was
to do.
was relied on retail trade as one of its main sources of income and employment.
And student income as well.
Certainly in the last 30 odd years, anyway. Um, now they have another revenue stream, and that's an endless number of students coming in, accommodation, and getting them to frequent businesses here in Nottingham.
I think the council, as it is at the moment, with its own issues that it's facing, have tried to diversify away and to create new jobs in digital media. That seems to be a growth area or something that they would like to see more people working in that sector. And they've tried their best to attract various types of companies to move to Nottingham. I don't know how that's worked out, but I know it's kind of a growing sector.
It does have other important sectors, but it's a lot of it's to do with supply and retail, it's food service. But we do have medical testing companies like
Can I ask you to speak up a little bit? I'm struggling to hear you a little bit.
we have various number of industries, but as we said, they are supported by the services industry, being retail and hospitality and business.
So, okay, we find ourselves probably at the not the precipice anymore, but at the top of this COVID mountain that we've been climbing for the last 10 odd months. So we're now at the top. Can't get any worse, in inverted commas. Obviously, there's a new strain or two spreading around, but there is a glimmer of hope on the horizon because there's vaccines now that have been approved and are beginning to be rolled out. However, that doesn't help us or a lot of people that are currently out of work immediately. This is all going to take several months before we can start to begin to consider moving back to or taking a first step towards moving back to normality. I don't think it's going to happen straight away. The government's made a lot of U-turns, for example. The schools were going to open, now they're staying closed. My kids aren't back till the 17th, whereas previously they were due to go back, I think, next week. So it's been pushed back another week. So it is what it is. We find ourselves stuck at home. Obviously, we've got many hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people out of work. The economy is kind of ground to a halt. Government borrowing's increased to stratospheric levels, but obviously that's all part and parcel of what we're going through at the moment. And I don't think there was another way that they could have done it. You had to borrow money to give to people to help them stay afloat. So it's had massive effects on the country. You know, we're living proof of what we're going through. Obviously, if somebody's self-employed, their businesses are closed, potentially never to reopen again. If they're employing, you know, half a dozen people, that's going to be more people on the dole as things start getting back to normal. I don't know whether many retail shops are going to open. Obviously, we've had a few that have closed. I think, I can't remember, was it Arcadia Group, Burton's, Topshop, etc. I'm not sure what's going on with them, but they've gone into administration, or whether, and again, whether they'll open up again or not. And obviously, that's thousands of more people out of jobs. So it's had a profound effect on the economy, on jobs, on various sectors. In your mind, which sectors have been hit the hardest?
Anything that's customer facing, so retail and hospitality, definitely.
Transportation,
Um,
airline industry.
I think that the airline industry can recover, where there are some airlines that are more solvent than others, and of course there are European nations that the um, that they have actually had national support. Um,
But it's how quickly they'll recover. You've got hundreds, if not thousands, of pilots out of work. I have heard rumours a lot of them have started doing deliveries for online shoppers because they couldn't get jobs elsewhere. But these people still need to keep up with their training, I believe, or once every year or 6 months or whatever they've got to do. They've got to do a bunch of training to keep hold of their license. So if they've not been working for several months, and they're going to potentially have to start from scratch again. And I think the airline industry is going to take a long time to get back to normal. I don't think all the pilots that are currently out of jobs at the moment will immediately be back flying aeroplanes. I think that some of them are going to be unemployed for a number of years until the industry recovers to an extent that they can get their jobs back. Obviously, you've got the cruise industry as well, that's kind of collapsed at the moment. And whether or not that'll ever get back to the way it used to be. I personally don't think things will get back to normal ish for at least 5 to 7 years, personally. But there's also growth industries at the moment as well. There's industries that are growing. I was reading recently the space sector is one that the government is looking to invest heavily in and to create lots and lots of new jobs. So there's a lot of dark times that we're living through and are going to still experience, and you know, there's silver linings as well. There's changes coming that perhaps people can start thinking of how they can reskill themselves to benefit in the future. So I guess where we're at the moment, right now, you've got people at home, people without any income, people that have been furloughed, people that are not going to get their jobs back. They've got mortgages, they've got bills, credit card debts. We've just come out of Christmas and into the new year. I don't know whether prices are going to start going up now with Brexit on certain types of food stuff. I don't really know what's going to happen. However, I guess there's still going to be a lot on all our plates at the moment that we're going to have to deal with going forwards. What do you think people can start doing in terms of, I guess, if they haven't already done so, facing up to the issues that they find themselves in? Like I
well,
said, with their mortgages, bills, credit cards.
well, let's just start this. In the situation of job, there is hope. and things will improve, and there are new sectors opening up in this country. There will need to be reskilling. Um, Retail and hospitality will recover to some extent eventually anyway, because people still need to buy food, people still need to buy clothing, and they buy, and there are wants and there are needs. So there will be some recovery there. It's just going to take time. The first situation is you've got to think about, you've lost your job. The first thing that you need to do is get your house in order. Your mortgage. You need to contact your mortgage provider, tell them the situation, and try and get some kind of payment holiday, but at least tell them you do not have the income to pay your mortgage right now, so that they can at least try. You can try them to get them to stop the interest on the mortgage. Step two, you need to go to your creditors, whether they be credit cards and loan companies, explain the situation to them, and then try and get into some kind of repayment situation, either not paying anything to start with or £1 a month. The next thing you need to do is you need to go to .gov, and you need to have a look and see what benefits you are entitled to. There are several websites that link up with that will take your details and then tell you what benefits you are actually entitled to, and then you can link back to government websites so that you can apply for things like job seekers allowance, universal credit, ESA, carers allowance, carers element, just depending on what your circumstances are, and when you're having to look after another individual in your home, whether you have children. Then the next stage is once you've applied for those, you need to talk to the council about your council tax and explain to them the situation. Now, they will ask for a copy of your benefits letter. You will have to either put it online when you fill out the application, or you can post it out to them. Once these things are actually dealt with, it will lift a great burden from you.
Absolutely agree. And I think if you're in this situation for the first time, you will need help. I remember filling in or requesting a form for either a council tax reduction when I got made redundant, or council tax waiver. I can't remember what it was now. However, the book I got, kid you not, was about that thick. And I started looking through it and I thought, I don't understand this. It was complex for me. So I didn't bother in the end, because when I got made redundant 5 years ago, we could quickly get jobs through agencies. So I managed to find something before I had to go through the trauma. And honestly, it was a trauma trying to figure out where to start in terms of filling in this booklet. So I gave up. So I think don't despair, get yourself some help. If you don't understand something, ask, what do you need to do? What information do I need to provide you? And, people will always be happy to help out.
Well, there is an abundance of information on the internet about what to do when you're unemployed. I mean, the first thing to do is when you do go to apply for those benefits, and you go to those tools that include turn to us and step change as your benefits calculator. Um, Step change certainly has a telephone number you can contact, and you can ask for advice from them. Especially
Okay.
if you find yourself in a situation where your creditors are not prepared to do business, and they just want payments. If they're trying to get you,
Creditors, I totally agree. They will keep coming after you unless you tell them that you have financial difficulties. Until that point, they will assume that you're refusing to pay. And by rights, they will come after you. It is their money, so you've taken it from them, and they have a right to get that money back. But if you can't give it back and you find yourself in a situation where you're struggling, then it's incumbent upon you to at least tell them, look, this is my current situation. Can we discuss a payment term that I can cope with at this point in time? So you've got to tell them. Until you tell them, they'll be knocking on your door and they'll be ringing you every day.
Oh yes, that's certainly true. I mean, as I say, the initial thing is to contact them and try and negotiate paying nothing for the moment until the benefits come through, and then paying a token amount of pound a month um, can keep your interest at zero. But sometimes creditors do not want to play ball, and they try to manipulate you because there are a big entity and you can't deal with them. Which is why, in that situation, contact Step Change, who are a charity. They can intervene upon your behalf. They will ask you whether you actually contacted them in the first place before you spoke to them. But if you have gotten nowhere with them, Step Change can actually help and intervene on your behalf, even if it means that they take money directly from your bank account to pay the creditors. But that will be negotiated based upon how much money you actually have. It works
Yeah,
for you, not for the credit card company.
no, I totally agree. And obviously, if people have struggled and scrimped to save up some money as well, that will affect the amount of benefits that you're going to get and the amount of help that you're entitled to as well. So personally, if I was in that situation, first thing I would do, like you said, is get online, register for job seekers allowance. That would be my first step. Secondly, I would contact the mortgage companies. I would have to do this. If I had any debts, credit cards, etc., overdrafts, I'd contact the banks and credit card companies, explain to them the situation that I'm in, and let them help me because I've told them. I guess they're then legally obligated to assist me because I've taken that step and said, I cannot pay you at the moment because I've got no income. Please help me. What's available? So they'll be able to discuss with you what your options are. I As difficult as it is, there's certain things that you cannot ignore. So I wouldn't ignore these problems. I'll face them head on. Make a list of everything that's going to potentially become a big issue for you, like your mortgage, etc., your card payments, your car payments, whatever it is that you've got. You obviously want to keep your lights on. You need to pay for your gas, electric, etc., and your bills. So make a list of all these things. Don't ignore the problems you're facing. You need to make a list, make a plan, deal with them. And I guess the second thing that I would realize is, you're not alone. There is help out there. You mentioned step change. So perhaps I would go to the .gov website or I would talk to my advisor at the job seekers, the job center and say, look, what else is available for me? They'll be able to guide you to various organizations that can help you, charities, for example, that would be able to assist. Um, so yeah, I would probably make a list also of of the resources, benefits that you're entitled to, like you mentioned, and organisations that can help. We're living in a time where significant change has been brought upon us by this pandemic, and it's affected a lot of people. Obviously, some jobs more than others. Without saying it in a disparaging way, unskilled. For example, people working in takeaways, people working in the retail industry. Um, Also, I guess there's a silver lining. Other types of jobs have grown, other sectors, such as home delivery. I see vans driving around in our neighborhood, people dropping things off, online shopping, warehouses, things like that. And I guess you've also got to realize now that things potentially aren't going to go back to being the same as they used to be. Things have changed. So we've got to face up to that reality as well. So you may have had a job working in a shop in the high street. Now you've got to think, okay, is that job going to be there in the next 5 or 6 months? Potentially, these businesses are going to come back now and they're going to have less staff working in there because they've now got less footfall or less people walking into the shop, less demand because a lot of people are now been shopping online and I might think, oh, what's the point going to pick this up from the shops? If I can just order it online, it'll be here tomorrow. So there are changes, and I think also that people now need to kind of take stock of where they are at the moment in their career and their knowledge, and look for resources where they can potentially train themselves to take advantage of the new types of jobs that are coming. Finance has done extremely well during the pandemic. Um, what else has done well during this pandemic? Obviously, stock market's flying up.
retail,
Online,
supermarkets.
computers, supermarkets. Yeah, I mean, things like that. You need to kind of sit down and think, okay, what's
Very
done
specific
well?
areas of retail has
Yeah,
done
and
very
what's
well.
weathered?
So
What kind of jobs have
Amazon.
weathered this pandemic?
I'm sorry,
And
I didn't catch
potentially what you can do, what kind of jobs or businesses have weathered, or industries and sectors that have gotten through this current situation, a very, very difficult situation, and have done very well out of it.
yes. Well,
Finance has done very well out of it at the moment.
indeed, and
Stock market seems to be going crazy.
but then that's one of those aspects, one of those areas that not all of people get into. But there are other industries, there are new technology industries, and then there's the environmental industries that are now being developed
Oh yeah, yeah,
that
that
are
seems to be
coming in,
growing.
and this is with media effects really. I mean, we're going to be seeing roles for power distribution based upon biomass, solar, and wind next year, this year, sorry, it now being 2021. But an area that I actually missed when we were talking about debts was that there is the Citizen Advice Bureau. Now, it's not always called that in particular areas. Sometimes it's just called the Advice Centre for your area. Um, so there are there is certainly help there. You can't go in to see them, but you can book an appointment over the phone, and they will talk to you about how to deal with your debt issues and your creditors. Um, One of the important things to remember is that you won't lose your electricity or your gas or your water because it's mandated by government that they must supply these, but you must keep them informed of the
Mm.
situation.
Yeah, that's why it's important to talk to these organisations and companies.
But then, I mean, once your debts are dealt with, you can feel a little bit more at ease that there isn't a large weight on you so much. It's sort of been moved to the side for the moment. It's still there, but it's slightly out of view for the moment, so that you can focus on the next important thing, which
Totally
is
agree.
a career. Um, what are you going to do that you're now unemployed, or you suspect that you are going to be unemployed because your sector or your role will die, or the company will no longer exist? So, unlike in previous times when we've had recessions and there's been a lot of job loss, you can no longer be thinking about, I just need to get another job. We need to be thinking in two aspects. One is short to medium and then long term, because we need a job right now to last us for a while, but we can't be sure that that industry or that job will even exist in 5 years. So we need to be thinking
Totally.
to ourselves, because of the situation, we don't know what's going to come around the corner. So we need to be um, looking for a job to get us through this period as soon as we can get something, something that's viable, of course. Um, and then we need to start thinking about the long term, whether that means a complete change and with a new course of study, or looking at a completely new industry that we can move into because we have the right qualifications to move into that. But we need to be looking to yourself, to seeing what you've done previously, what you've done up till now, recently, and what is it you would like to be doing. Is there an area of an industry that you've always wanted to, but you never actually did it, or something changed in your life and you didn't go in that direction because life throws curves at you? Um, and you need to take all these things into account when you're thinking about um, your career until the time you retire, because we can no longer be thinking in the two-dimensional way that we had previously. So the first thing that we need to do after that, after we've written these things down, we need to look at our CV. It needs to be updated. There's lots of information about this online. There are companies like Futures that can help you, and the National Career Service, which has a website but also has a telephone line. You need to update that CV, and where you may diversify from your original role into something similar, you may need to alter your CV so that it reflects those aspects that would be um, required for that other role. And then there's prospective CVs, which we can talk about later. But that first thing is getting that CV in order and getting it up to date, and then looking for advice and career information.
I mean, yeah, I mean, to wrap this up, I know we've got another video to do after this one as well, but I would say to people, realize that ultimately that you are in control of your own destiny, your career, your life, and that you have responsibilities to yourself and to others. So don't just sit there thinking, woe is me, everything's falling apart, I can't get out of this. You can and you will, but the first thing you've got to do is take that first step, get in touch with the agencies that exist to assist us all when we find ourselves in these difficult situations. Okay, so if you're in this difficult situation, take that first step, start talking to people. Once you've sorted that aspect out, spoken to your mortgage companies, your cards, credit cards, whoever you owe money to, then you can take some time and focus on yourself, either just to, I don't know, meditate, relax, go for a walk, do something that takes care of you physically and mentally. After that, personally, I would make a list of, the things that I am interested in or would like to learn about, and that potentially could turn into a career as soon as things start getting back to normal. So you can go online. There's lots and lots of free resources. Let's say, for example, you think to yourself, I want to design a website, and I want to start promoting my, artistic endeavors. You paint stuff. You can get yourself a free website, and you can get it hosted, and it's all online for free. You just got to figure out how to design it yourself. Um, the only thing you'll probably need to pay for is a domain name, so that's unique to yourself. So that'll cost you, I don't know, 8 or 9 or 12 quid a year. So that's doable. Obviously, update your CV. I would also, once I've kind of figured that out, set some time aside and think, okay, I'm going to spend about 30 minutes or an hour early in the morning before everybody else wakes up, or 30 minutes or an hour in the evening after everyone's gone to sleep. So I want to spend that time developing a skill or doing something to learn or develop myself or to promote myself online. So that's something doable. Lots of courses online. You can just Google them, for crying out loud, or go onto the .gov website. I've noticed loads of courses on there for social media, for marketing, how to get yourself online, your profiles, etc. Um, I would also look at, personally, I'd look at what kind of voluntary work I can do. Get out in the community, help somebody, or find an organization where I can use my skills or my time or my talents, abilities. Just getting out of the house and meeting new people. That's, it's really good for your mental health, and obviously making new contacts and meeting new people, I suppose. You could potentially open yourself up to new experiences or opportunities further down the line. Um, that's probably where I would personally start. I think you would need to take that kind of action for yourself to get out there and start doing things. But yes, the first step is basically talking to someone and getting the help that you need to start making you move forward, and getting you out of the current situation that you're in. I mean, we'll talk about this much more in depth in our next video. So I think we'll leave it for there for now. And yeah, we will get back to you with more content.
But certainly there are key elements that you've just mentioned that must be taken into account. people have been suffering from this more this year, certainly during the lockdown, is depression and stress. Now, it's stressful enough
Totally.
that you can suddenly become unemployed, let alone the fact that you can't go very far, and the fact that while you're trying to search for a job, um, you need to look at your stress, and we're going to be discussing
Yeah.
that further in the next video, along with
Yeah.
employment. And further, we'll have a look about the aspects of applying
Yeah.
benefits.
Yeah. And we all have our own personal experiences. We're not professionals by any means, but
We're
you know,
certainly people that have experienced these things ourselves,
yeah,
unemployment, and we've lived through the depression,
stress, worry about how you're going to pay your bills.
and the 3 recessions that we've lived through previously.
Okay, I think the fan on your fish tank has just come on. I'm struggling to hear you. I think we'll leave it there for now, Alfie.
Well, I'm Alfie, and you are Imran, and we are the Fighting Dogs.
See you in the next video, everybody.
See you later.
Stay safe, stay positive.
Bye-bye. Peace out.